Hello. Well, I'm back for another episode of the Sweet Talk. My name is Kimatina. I am a Google certified trainer, and it is December 27th, 2017. And I wanted to bring this episode to you because I know the Google Assistant was probably a very popular gift this year for the holiday season. So if you got one of these for Christmas, either the Google Home or the Google Mini, um, you're going to like it, actually. I mean, I've had mine since the summer, and I went through phases with it, and I used it a lot in the beginning, and I stopped. Now I'm starting to use it again. I use it a lot to play music. I use it to for a timer. You can set an alarm with it. You can sync it with your account, so it'll it'll tell you what you have scheduled for your day. Um, it it will tell you what you have on your shopping list, but you have to give it permissions and set it up through your Google Home app on your phone or your tablet to do that. So I'm learning as I'm using it too. But to be honest with you, really, I'm playing music with it right now. And it does give me a really good playlist from the Google Play Store. So, which is cool. Um, but I know through the Google Home app, you can go in and set different voices. So it recognizes your voice as opposed to your child's or your spouse's voice. And depending on the voice, it will do whatever it says. So I know you can do that, but I haven't had the chance to play with that option yet. You can ask it questions. You can, you have to make sure that the questions that you're asking are valid questions so that it can, give you a valid answer. If not, it's going to give you a silly answer. And I know Google's got answers for those silly questions. So Google Assistant, how can we use this in education and in the classroom? Well, what I'd like to do is, first of all, tell you that the Google Home cannot be used with a G Suite for Education account. Right now, that option is not available, but you can certainly set it up with a personal Google account and use it that way in your Google Classroom or in your classroom, sorry. So what I would recommend is create a separate personal account for the Google Assistant in your classroom and use it in your classroom with your students. Have them ask it questions about related content, relevant content, and use it as a resource in your classroom. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to test this in my classroom yet, but I did have the chance to draft up some questions regarding computer science education and ask the Google Assistant, and it did come up with answers that were acceptable to me so that I can present those questions to the students and have the assistant respond appropriately in that way. So I would recommend, if you're going to use it in class, to make sure you go through a practice round with the questions first to make sure that the answers that it gives you or provides you are appropriate for your classroom. So first thing, create a personal Google account just for the Google Assistant for your classroom. Practice some questions before introducing it to your students to make sure that the answers that it provides you is appropriate for your classroom. So those are two important things that I would highly recommend that you do. Also, you may find if you use the Google Assistant within your school network, it may have, you may run into technical problems or issues regarding your school's network, your Wi-Fi, firewall settings. So keep that in mind also. You may have to reconfigure something with the settings so that you can access the Google Assistant. So you may need to contact your tech department so that it'll work properly. But that's something that you'd have to test and troubleshoot as you go along with it. Like I said, I haven't had the chance to bring it into class yet. I'm hoping sometime next year I would be able to do that and test it in my work environment. I don't see any problems with it being an issue with my firewall or with my network settings, but you never know. So always make sure you test any new technology device prior to introducing it to your students. So always keep that in the back of your mind. So to get started, what I'm going to do is show you a nice Google Doc add-on called Story Speaker, which will allow you to create a story or write a story and play it on your Google Assistant. So this is a great feature. I just learned about this a few weeks ago, and I'm diving into it now. I think it's a great application to use for children when they're writing stories so that they can hear their story and it'll play back to them. This will allow them to be able to hear what their story sounds like, where they can go in and make corrections and adjust the story and the content. The Story Speaker also allows, I'm just going to put this here. Hold on. The Story Speaker also allows students to create different paths to their story without coding. So all they have to do is write the story, and if a character takes a certain path or direction to go to a certain place, then they say a word, they write the story, and it'll read the story. If the character goes into another direction, they say that keyword, the Google Assistant will read that part of the story, and it'll just continue reading the story according to the path that the character took. So it's a nice way to give students an option to present their story in different endings or different options for different endings for their story. So, and they don't have to code, which is nice, but they do have to be familiar with the Google Docs template. So I'm going to give this a try. Okay, so my assistant turned on while I was speaking to you. So this is going to be a first for me, and I hope that it runs smoothly. But if not, if I have technical difficulties with the assistant coming on when it's not supposed to and not turning off when it's supposed to, just bear with me here, okay? It's all good. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen and walk you through the Google Docs add-on called Story Speaker. Okay, so what you have to do first is you have to, let me just open up a brand new Google Doc. Okay, and what you have to do first is you have to go to the add-ons menu. And you go down to add-ons, and you're going to search for the add-on called Story Speaker. And here it is. So you need to install the Story Speaker Google Docs add-on in your account. And like I said, this Story Speaker Google Docs add-on is a great way to create interactive stories without coding. So I find that this would be a very good asset in education. So once you install the add-on, it will show up here in your add-ons menu. Okay, and I'm going to click on Open Story Speaker. And basically there's a few things that you need to do. All right. The first thing that you're going to do is use the basic template first. All right, so you can create the basic template. And here's your template here. And then you start writing your story. Okay, so everything that you see in bold, okay, start here, intro, that stuff's not read out loud. Okay, those are just cues for you to type your story. All right. You do have to know how to indent in your story. All right. And so the Google Assistant will read the regular text. So anything that's not in bold will be read. And obviously it's going to start reading your story from the intro. Okay. So you write your story, use the basic template, and you play your story. Okay. So this is the basic template here. And you can see that you have an intro. And if you say the word left, it's going to read this sentence. And the bracket here with the word end in it means it's the end of the story. If you say right, it's going to read this sentence. Okay, so you have to keep in mind in what direction or what path or what kind of end in or what kind of story you want to create with different outcomes. All right. And you can read about more information about Story Speaker in the help, in the frequently asked questions, Story Speaker document right here. And I will put this in the notes for this episode. So this kind of gives you a really a good start on how to get started with Story Speaker, what you need to know, what you need to do, and basically create an interactive story. You can also watch this short video from the writer of Story Speaker, and he basically gives you a quick showdown of writing the story, playing the story, and that's it, really. So his whole thing is write the story, play the story, and create the install the add-on and play it, and you're done. But I'm going to try to give you a little bit more information than that. So, and again, I will put this link in the show notes. So here's the basic, this is the basic template. All right, now I already have a story written, so I'm going to go back to my story. And when you install the add-on, you have to make sure that you give it permissions for it to access your account. So make sure you go through and accept all the permissions that it's asking you to do. All right, and if I go to add-ons and I click on Story Speaker and hit Open Story Speaker, I get the side panel here again. Okay, now I already created a story, or wrote a somewhat of a story, and it's called The Day After Christmas by Kim Mattina. Okay, and I wrote this a few minutes ago, so it may not be the best story out there, but it's just enough to give you a glimpse of how the Google Assistant will read the story back. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play the story. So I click on play, and I'm going to click on play on Google Home. And it tells me in this panel what to say. So it says right here, hey Google, ask Story Speaker to tell the day after Christmas.
Everyone was tired because we were visiting family and watched the Eagles game on Christmas night. I woke up, no one was home. Where did everyone go? Did they go to work or to the beach?
Work.
A few people had to go. I woke up at 5 a.m. I lucky enough to sleep until 7 a.m. That's the end of your story. Started or play another one of your stories.
Okay, so I'm going to click end or OK, and I'm going to click update because I did have an update to this paragraph in here. So let me click stop.
Sorry, I couldn't find a story you wrote called, so I'm going to click end or OK. I'm going to click update because I did have an update to this paragraph in here, so let me click stop. Try saying the title again. Or say list my stories.
Update. Hey Google, ask Story Speaker to tell the day after Christmas.
Sorry, find a story called Speak to tell the day after Christmas.
Okay.
Try saying the title again. Say list my stories.
List my stories.
Story.
Play the day after Christmas.
Okay, here is The Day After Christmas by Kim Martina. It's the day after Christmas and everyone slept in late. Everyone was tired because we were visiting family, watched the Eagles game on Christmas night. When I woke up, no one was home. Did everyone go? Did they go to work or to the beach?
Beach.
Decided not to go to went to Long Beach Island, watch the sunrise.
Get chair.
I took my beach chair out of my car, walked up to the beach and enjoyed the sunrise with my cup of coffee. It's a beautiful sight. Clouds and the shades of different colors in the sky are nature's beauty. That's the end of your story. Started or play another one of your stories.
Okay. So I'm having some So that's one thing I can't figure out is it doesn't stop when it sees end. It should basically end the story speaker, but it's still in that story speaker mode. If you can see my Google Assistant, you would be able to tell or notice that it's still in the story speaker mode. So I've been letting it just go through the motions, and then eventually it will get out of the story speaker mode. I'm still trying to figure out how to actually have it stop when the story's done. When I click stop on the screen, obviously it's not ending the Google Assistant.
Sorry, I couldn't find a story you called S Done. Try saying the title again. Or say list my stories. I couldn't hear what you just said. Sorry, I couldn't find a story you wrote called S Done. Try saying the title again. Or say list my stories. Sorry, I can't help.
Okay, so when it says that, now it's not in story speaker mode anymore. So that's the part that I'm having difficulty with, is trying to get it out of the story speaker mode when the story's done, instead of waiting for it to repeat itself 3 times and then actually quit in the story speaker mode. So that part I'm still trying to figure out. But as you can see, it read the paragraphs, and when I said the keyword work or beach or get chair or whatever I said, it read that particular paragraph for the story. So I can actually branch off into different parts of the story and have the Google Assistant read, read those parts accordingly. Another nice feature about this add-on is if I go into Story Speaker and hit Open Story Speaker, and this is great also for the classroom. If I go to play your story down here, I don't have to play it on Google Home. If students have headphones or earbuds, they can put their earbuds in and play the story here. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to read back the story to them so they can actually hear what the story sounds like. So this is great for having the students go in and hear what it sounds like, so they can go in and make corrections with different, verbs, verb tense, or grammar corrections. They can go in and hear what it sounds like and change the content accordingly. So this is a great way to have them hear what they wrote also. So click on play story, and I don't think you're going to be able to hear it because I have my headphones on, but if you hit play story, it will read the story to you. And like I said, the students will be able to preview or hear what the story says before they publish it on the Google Home. So they can do this. They can do this even if they don't have a Google Home. They can still install the story speaker, and they can play their story and listen to it via their headphones. And when it's all done and proofread and it's 100% completed, what they can do is they can share this Google Doc with the teacher, and the teacher can play the story on the Google Home, which would be in the classroom for everyone to hear. So it does have some nice features that you can use in the classroom, especially if you're working in a language arts classroom, social studies. Really, any particular subject area can use this this Google Doc, but especially in the language arts classroom. So I definitely do see a use for it in EDU. I just think that it's a little clunky with getting the Google Assistant out of the story speaker mode is clunky. They do have to, fix a few things with it, but overall, I think it's definitely a productive tool that you can use in your classroom with your students. Now, if you actually go into the Get Started tab and you hit Advanced Template, let me get out of this. And I'm going to click on Advanced Template. This is going to give you more information on different different ways that you can branch off into your story. So you can see you have a go to the quest section, and that'll take you to the quest section. And so there's different commands or tags in here that are going to allow the students to branch off and do different things. So you'd have to really follow up or read the Google Doc that comes with this in order to hear or to know about the advanced template. But definitely, it's definitely something that you can use with your classes. So let me go back. Okay, I'm back. So I hope that was helpful. I mean, I really do think the Story Speaker is a great Google Doc add-on, and it can be used in the education setting if it's used in the content that is intended for. Like I said, a few things you just have to be aware of is, one, if you take it into your classroom, it doesn't work with your Google G Suite for Education account. So create a personal Google account just for the Google Assistant for your classroom. Second, make sure that you go through the questions that you want to ask it prior to the students being there to make sure that it does give you valid responses for, for your content area. And just, test it out, make sure it's going to work in your classroom with the networking and the firewall settings that is in your building. You want to make sure that all that is taken care of before you introduce it to your students. And you can also set it up with your Google Home app on your phone or your tablet to, sync with your calendar, create lists, set timers, play music, have different users be able to access different parts of it. It's a learning curve for me. I am trying to use it, but as I learn, I do see more uses for it in the classroom, and this app is one step in the right direction. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, you can always email me at Mattina Kim, Mattina Kim @gmail.com, and I'll try to help you out with this. All right, but for now, I'm signing off. Enjoy your Google Assistant if you did get one for Christmas or for the holidays. Have a nice day and have a Happy New Year. Bye.